being here. And I first of all want to welcome the First Lady, Dr. Biden. As I said to her when we got off the elevator, you're kind of familiar with the community college setting, so you should feel right at home. And I also want to welcome my wonderful colleagues, Chair of the Hispanic Caucus, Nanette Barragan, and ranking member on the Small Business Committee, Mayor Velasquez. And I'm really honored to have them all here in Allentown as part of the Congressional Hispanic Caucus On the Road initiative. This is Pennsylvania's Greater Lehigh Valley. I'm saying that more for the people in back of me rather than the people in front of me, because you all know that, but I am so honored to represent this district in Congress, and I am so proud of the fact that it is home to such a vibrant Latino community. And I'm so grateful that we are having this event today to discuss the impact that education and workforce development programs, one of my favorite subjects, have in our area. Dr. Bieber, thank you so much for hosting us today at Lehigh Department Community College, one of the two incredible community colleges that we have here in Pennsylvania 7 that provide our students with comprehensive and wide-ranging workforce development and educational opportunities. And as a lot of people know, I spend a lot of time talking about our two great community colleges, so I am just so happy to be at one of them today. Ms. Montero and Ms. Rosado, thank you for sitting down with us to share your stories with us. Mayor Turk, thank you as always for being a tireless advocate for the city of Allentown and a steadfast partner. And thank you all for being here, and thank you to the press for covering this event. Setting our children up for success is one of our most fundamental responsibilities as parents, as educators, as members of society. From providing access to high quality, affordable childcare, to ensuring that our public schools have the funds that they need to meet our kids where they are at and helping them grow, and then investing in workforce development programs to teach students the hands-on skills that they need to succeed in their chosen field. And this is no small task. It's a big thing, and it requires everybody's buy-in to it. I am the mother of two now adult children, and I was once a parent of young children, and I experienced firsthand what our families go through. I was always a working mom. Their dad worked, and we often struggled with childcare issues and so forth. No longer, thank goodness. But my children attended Parkland School District right down the road from here, and they went to public schools from K through 12, and I'm very, very proud of that. I understand the importance of providing families in our community with the support and resources that they need to set their children up for success later in life in whatever form that takes. And I think it's really important that we understand that success is different for different people, and that there is not a one-size-fits-all formula. So as a member of the House Education and Workforce Committee, I know that the federal government plays a crucial role in supporting our schools, our educators, our students, our families, and giving them the tools they need to learn and thrive. And that includes meeting all of our children and families where they are in the language that they speak. And that's why I am so grateful to the First Lady and to Congressional Hispanic Caucus Chair Barragan and Congresswoman Velasquez for being here today for this important discussion. As lawmakers, our work is literally informed by conversations that we have back home in our districts with constituents. That's how we know what the problem areas are, what concerns people have, what needs they have. And again, it's not a one-size-fits-all, so it's really important to have this kind of listening session. And I know that what we learned today is going to affect all of our work moving forward, and the work that I do as I continue to represent our community in Congress. So thank you everybody for showing up for the Greater Lehigh Valley. I am so proud of this community, and I'm so excited. I always am when I get anybody here from Washington. I'd like to introduce them to our district, and Congresswoman Velasquez has actually been here a couple of times within our community. I'm just very excited to give my friends and colleagues the opportunity to hear a little bit more about all the great programs that we have to offer. And with that, it is my pleasure to introduce Congresswoman Nydia Velázquez, who represents New York's 7th Congressional District.
Well, good afternoon, everyone, and Dr. Biden. Dr. Biden, thank you so much for being here. It is important for the people in the Valley, but also for Latinos and Puerto Ricans to see the intentionality of public policies that have been put together in Washington, because we know and we understand what does it take to help you achieve your dreams. And one of that area is education and is workforce development. As chair of the ranking, soon to be chair of the Small Business Committee, I know the interconnection that exists between succeeding in school, in college, community colleges that play an important role, and fulfilling the needs of small businesses. But before I get into the what I want to say and my message, I want to thank and recognize the fearless leader that you have in Washington, Susan Wild. I've been coming here to help get the people out to vote, and that is the most important tool that we all have in a democracy. And every time I come to meet with Latino leaders here in Lehigh Valley, I tell them the important, our country depends, our democracy, on your participation. And I just want to also recognize Nanette Barragan, who is an incredible chair of the Congressional Hispanic Caucus. So it's an honor for me to be here. And I have had the pleasure to be in Allentown so many times throughout my career. In fact, I launched a voter registration campaign when I was working for the government of Puerto Rico. So this is my passion, helping people connect the dots. Because if you participate in the process, in the system, then you could raise your voices. People have to see you and come back to Washington or to the City Council and address important issues that we are all facing. Over the years, I have observed the continued growth of the Latino population in the region and how that growth has strengthened the economy and culture here in the Lehigh Valley. During my time as the top Democrat on the House Small Business Committee, the incredible strength of Latino entrepreneurs has been showcased, proving that what we always known, we are unstoppable if we are provided the education and the resources, because it is in our inner, in our soul, in our spirit, that entrepreneurial spirit that leave their countries, come here and raise their children and open up businesses to contribute to the American economy. And I just want to say that the Biden administration has made progress in expanding the economic power of Hispanics and all people of color. A record-setting number of Latino small business startups occurred this year, along with job gains and the lowest Latino unemployment rate on record. Latino business ownership is up 40% compared to before the pandemic. Over 4 million jobs. Over 4 million jobs have been created for Latino workers since President Biden took office, and we achieved record low Latino child poverty rate in 2021, fulfilling our social contract to make sure that every child in this country is given an opportunity to succeed. And this college is an example of that. These outcomes were not accident. They resulted from policies that this administration and congressional Democrats worked so hard to implement. In addition to creating millions of new jobs, this administration has prioritized ensuring that Americans have the education and skills to succeed in the modern economy. Believe me, every time that we hold hearings in the Small Business Committee, the number one priority for businesses across the country is to find high-skilled workers. My committee has made improving our nation's workforce one of our top priorities. From hearings to legislation, Democrats have coordinated across many policy areas to enhance our nation's workforce in a variety of industries. The Biden-Harris administration has been working hard to raise early educator pay and expand access to pre-K. Early this year, the Department of Education launched the first ever Career-Connected High School Grants Program to help reimagine the high school experience in school across the country and better connect students to career pathways. And this is a must if we want to grow our economy. So the work that you're doing here is incredibly important, and I want to thank you all for being here.
Next, Chairwoman Nanette Barragan from the Congressional Hispanic Caucus.
Well, thank you. It's great to be here in Allentown. It's great to be here at Lehigh Cardin Community College, which I understand is a Hispanic serving institution. How amazing is that? I first want to thank my colleague, Representative Susan Weil, for her work, her advocacy for partnering up and making sure that in Congress we're working to hear about the voice of the Latino community, given that right here, even in Allentown, it's over 50% Latino. And so thank you for hosting us, thank you for your voice and for all your advocacy. Let's give her a round of applause. I also want to thank my colleague, Nydia, who has said is going to be the next chair of the Small Business Committee, for all the work that all of our colleagues have been doing. The Hispanic Caucus has this initiative. And the initiative is the CHC is on the road. We're going to different places across the country to talk to targeted areas in growing Latino populated areas, which is why we're right here in Allentown. Because we have seen the Latino population here growing and saying we have to go and we need to make sure we're communicating, we're engaging, and most of all, we are talking to folks about what we're doing in Congress, what the Biden-Harris administration is doing, and our plans to continue that work forward. And there is no greater honor than to have the First Lady, Dr. Jill Biden, with us. Who better to talk about education issues? And we know she's been not only at the forefront of making sure we talk about education and workforce development, but day in and day out, she is doing that work herself in community colleges. So it's so great that we were able to get this done. And just so you know, we have been trying to schedule her for a long time. And she is so popular that I'm so glad we were able to get this done today. And today we're going to focus, as I mentioned, on the Classroom to Career Initiative. This program to help ensures American students, including Latinos, can access resources that lead to good paying jobs. And many of these resources were proudly funded by the American Rescue Plan in Congress, which the CHC helped to get across the finish line and then had President Biden and the Biden-Harris administration implement. And we appreciate all of you for being here today, because you are the community leaders with strong ties to Allentown who can share today's message and further empower your neighbors. To have a healthy economy that empowers families to thrive, we must invest in education and career training resources for our future workers. If you go out and you talk to Latino communities, what do they tell you? My mom, who's an immigrant from Mexico, said, education, it's the door to opportunity. Just give us a chance to get an education, to live that American dream. And that's what you're doing here at the community college, opening that door, creating those opportunities for students to live that American dream and making sure they have access to all the workforce development possible. It's investments like increasing access to affordable internet, raising educator pay to recruit and retain talent, and expansion of high-quality career pathways that move communities forward. So Congress, including the Hispanic Caucus, stands alongside the Biden-Harris administration as we continue this vital work. Sometimes community members are unaware of benefits delivered at the federal level simply because they haven't heard about the impacts to their families. Yet laws like the American Rescue Plan, which Democrats passed and President Biden signed into law, continue to strengthen communities just like right here in Allentown. Just in Allentown, we got $2.3 million was enabled for investments in a new fire training facility under the American Rescue Plan and emergency operations. 17,000 households in Lehigh County gained access to affordable internet, and $200,000 was awarded to this very facility right here at Lehigh Carbon Community College for scholarships for former and current military service members to become commercial truck drivers. And so these are just a few of the instances of why we're out to talk about what we've done and how we're going to continue this initiative on the classroom to career. And this is all part of the Biden administration's initiative. And now it is my distinct honor. It's not every day you get to introduce the First Lady. And so it's my distinct honor to introduce somebody who really needs no introduction. She's been an ally for the Congressional Hispanic Caucus. As I mentioned, her work in education has been key. She is in the classroom during the week. I mean, think about that for a moment. You're the First Lady and you're going into a community college and you're teaching. That is so admirable and so amazing to see. It's just great to see she has over 30 years of classroom experience, and to this day, as I mentioned, she's teaching at the Northern Community College in Northern Virginia, much like this one. She's a military mother who understands the challenges of military families, just like the families of 1.6 million Latinos in uniform. Having traveled coast to coast to hear directly from Americans, she is a true champion for working families and always puts our nation first and people over politics. It's my distinct honor to welcome our special guest. Let's go for a loud, warm welcome. Ladies and gentlemen, First Lady Dr. Jill Lockwood.
How many of you work here at the community college? Oh, so a lot of my colleagues are here. Welcome, nice to see you all. And are you working during the summer? Yeah, I thought, yeah, we are. I'm working too in a different sense. And so thank you, Congresswoman Barragan, and for all that you do for Latino communities across the country. And your leadership of the Congressional Hispanic Caucus is creating change. And we saw that at the White House last month when the president signed an executive order to keep families together and give dreamers, yes. So we gave dreamers the opportunity to get jobs in the United States. And you, Congresswoman Velasquez, and the CHC know that when Latino communities are strong, our country is strong. Congresswoman Wild, Susan, you always look past partisanship to represent those who have deep ties to this area and really those who have just moved here. And over the years, I've seen how we share a love of education. So I'm so grateful that you gave me this invitation to come to your district to talk about an issue that we care so much about. And Mayor Turk and Executive Armstrong, what a warm welcome to Allentown. And thank you to Representative Burgos and all the elected officials for joining us today. I think I covered everybody. Okay, no matter how many places I go, it's always special to come back home to Pennsylvania. And it's even better to come to a community college. And Dr. Beaver, thank you for hosting us here today. I'm also glad to be here with Mira Tandon, the head of White House Domestic Policy Council. So today we're here to talk about education and the pathways to good paying jobs, because that's how we grow the middle class. And just as Congresswoman Velasquez just said, it's how we grow Latino economic power too, so that everyone has a place at the table. Last year, I met a young woman named Lily, And when she graduated from high school, she didn't have an answer to the question, like, what's next? And it's a question every high school student knows all too well. On birthdays, in school hallways, at the dinner table, it can seem like the only thing anybody wants to talk about, is like, what's next? And so probably all of you probably know a Lily in your life. And as many students like Lily, the answer isn't only, I don't know, it's like, I don't know where to start. So nearly 60% of graduating high school students don't go directly to a four-year college. 6 out of 10 students. And Lily was one of those 6. And a few weeks ago, I had the honor of speaking at her commencement. So she's graduating into a career that pays well and is in high demand. But Lily almost missed this path, and a growing industry almost missed out on her talent. It took a vice principal to help her to apply to a free community college program. And it took a little exploring there to find a career in construction management, a growing industry thanks to President Biden's investments in infrastructure. And there are countless young people like her across the country and right here in Lehigh Valley who are smart, ambitious, and hardworking, who just need a good education that starts early in life and a pathway to a career. And that's Joe's vision for the Biden education pathway, a vision that so many leaders here agree with. It starts with free, high-quality, universal preschool, because we all know we have to get it right at the start. Because if we want our children to succeed in school and in their careers, we need them to invest in them from the very beginning. So Joe helped child care providers stay open during the pandemic. He also capped costs for tens of thousands of families and is working to raise pay for early childhood educators. President Biden has put forward an ambitious new proposal called Classroom to Career. You see it on all the signs here. And it would give every student in America the opportunity to take career-related community college courses while they're still in high school, something that the Lehigh Carbon Community College knows a lot about. And Joe's invested in career and technical education, apprenticeships, and workforce training programs, like the one run by St. Luke's. These kinds of career pathways help answer the question, what's next? This isn't a red idea or a blue idea. This is an American idea. And I grew up in a middle class family, not too far from here actually, in a Philly suburb called Willow Grove. Probably most of you know, right? You're all shaking your heads, not far. And when I dreamed of what my life would become, I knew that I wanted 2 things. A marriage like my parents that was strong and full of love and laughter, and I wanted a career. But I really didn't know what I wanted to do or what I needed to do to find out. Lily and I had that in common. In college, I felt called to the profound optimism of education. The hope in looking at the students and seeing all their potential, like I'm sure all of my colleagues do here today. And that's why I continue to teach at a community college, not far from the White House. Teaching isn't just what I do, it's who I am. And Joe understands this, and he knows that the key to our tomorrow rests in our classrooms, in making sure that our students are ready for the jobs of the future, jobs that are available in the communities where they grew up, communities like this one. In many ways, the Lehigh Valley has been a place of transformation, where iron ore turns to steel and steel to prosperity. And you're still transforming today. Industries like manufacturing and distribution are thriving, and you're creating pathways to great careers in those fields, like the ones that we're going to hear about in a minute. For Joe, the answer to what's next is continuing to make sure education starts early and leads to a good career, to help people like Lily reach for the futures that they want for themselves, and to make sure that every family can find a secure place in the middle class. So I can't wait to hear more about your experiences here in the Lehigh Valley. Thanks for having me.
Others, as I mentioned, a lot of the work we do in Washington is informed by what we hear on the ground. So here we are. What I'm going to ask each of the panelists to do is to introduce themselves, and I'll moderate the conversation, but and I'll ask some specific questions. And if we can start with you, Dr. Huber, if you could introduce yourself, I'd appreciate it.
Sure. Good afternoon. I'm Ann Beaver, president of Lehigh Carbon Community College, and I've had the good fortune of working at this institution for 40 years. I've had the opportunity of working and developing strong partnerships with our school districts, our business community, and our community organizations, all for the purpose of helping our students in the community achieve a career with family-sustaining wage jobs, and then to go out and make sure that our businesses have a well-trained workforce so they can compete and thrive in our economic.
Thank you. And as president of this wonderful community college, I know you work closely with the Allentown School District, and I'm thrilled that Dr. Burks, our school superintendent, is here with us. And you work with the Allentown School District to facilitate early college, dual enrollment, and workforce development programs. How have these programs worked? How have they helped make the college education more affordable and accessible to the students in our community?
Absolutely. Well, together with downtown school districts, our goal is to make sure that every student leaves high school when they graduate with either a career, education, or a training pathway. And the programs are all accessible because all students and the courses are taken during the day, so it's during the school day. It's free, no cost to the students because of Allentown School District funding it for them. And we have a success team to guide the students to ensure that they are successful going through these programs. Dual enrollment courses, as you know, they can earn college credits, explore a career, and also save for student debt because they go on for their 4-year degree and they have credits already in their back pocket. But also important is that they can prepare to go right into the workforce. We've exposed them to courses, and if they want to, then they can come back on the path of higher education. The data shows that 80% of our students who are taking dual enrollment courses are definitely then continuing their education, which is very important. We've been very fortunate, and the donor that led this foundation is here today, the Century Fund, and he gave us pilot funding for an early college program 6 years ago. That allowed the Allentown School District, together with the Carbon Community College, to have an early college program. And it was so successful with the students graduating with their associate degree and their high school degree, but the Allentown School District continues to fund that program so that the students have that opportunity. So our students are graduating 18 years old and going into junior status at some of the colleges locally. And our latest initiative is with Cedar Crest College, and our president from Cedar Crest College is here as well, with Allentown School District, so that the students, we're calling it the Quick Start to Teaching Initiative, 20 Allentown School District students have the opportunity to start and get dual enrollment classes while they're in high school in early college or in early education. They'll complete their associate degree with the community college and move seamlessly to Cedar Crest College for their bachelor's degree while they're having internships at Allentown School District and circling back to Allentown School District and hopefully being their teachers. And we have some of our best and brightest, if they could just take 1 minute and let them stand so you could get recognized. We're so proud of our early college students. They're amazing.
That was great. And Dr. Bieber gave him a shout out by description, but I think it's worth noting that Lee Woods, who is the founder of the Century Fund, is here with us in the back. Thank you very much for that. One more question for you. You know, obviously we know that this area has a rich history in manufacturing and transportation as well. I visit a lot of manufacturers, and as was mentioned earlier, workforce, more employees, that's the number one topic I hear about. Have you seen students in these programs successfully use the program to engage the local community to get these jobs that are available in those fields?
Absolutely. Every year we serve about 11,000 students with workforce training and credit programs in a variety of programs. Thanks to the stimulus funding, we were able to add our third mobile manufacturing lab, so we can take the hands-on labs right to the manufacturers. We've trained over 200 students in their lots at the local businesses, so their incumbent workforce do not have to leave. They can acquire the advanced skills and continue to move up in their organization. We also offer pre-apprenticeship and apprenticeship programs, and we're very fortunate to have our partner Beaver on here, Morton. They lead our consortium of 10 employers here. And for LTRIC, we have trained 1,000 apprenticeships over the last 4 years through our Amazon program, which again, thanks to federal funding, we were able to be considered to be one of 5 training programs in the United States for Amazon. And we cover 44 states, come into Allentown, and we're graduating our 50th cohort in advanced manufacturing. So it's many opportunities. People ask why haven't you been chosen? It was because of funding that gave us certification.
And I was surprised when you told me a while back that you get students from many other states coming to that program. And so thank you very much. And I remember being out there with Secretary Buttigieg when we were launching this CDL program.
Absolutely.
And
that was the last one that we had because of the funding that we brought our veterans and our community members to have access to CDL training.
Thank you. So, Victoria Montero, could you introduce yourself to everybody, please?
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Victoria Montero. I am the Network Director of Community Workforce Development at St. Luke's University Health Network.
Great, thank you. And Ms. Montero, your hospital, one of our 2 really fine healthcare networks here in the Lehigh Valley, has a workforce development pipeline program that creates good jobs for the Latino community in our area through partnerships with local school districts. And so can you tell us a little bit about that program and how it is make healthcare more accessible, first of all, in the Lehigh Valley, especially for the Latino community?
Sure. So first, I would like to start by thanking the Biden administration, Dr. Biden, the U.S. representatives, our workforce for Lehigh Valley, our local and state elected officials for supporting workforce work. For supporting workforce. Workforce is a collective effort. It is a collection of partnerships, school districts, and many different partners here in the Lehigh Valley. So as St. Luke's University Health Network, we are committed to the health of our community as being a hospital, but also we care for the overall health and how do we break the cycle of poverty of the community that we're serving. So through our community needs assessment, access to care is identified as an area of priority. And under that category, workforce development was identified in our last needs assessment as an area of focus. So as a result, for the last 20 years, our network has been working with local school districts such as the Allentown School District, the Workforce for Lehigh Valley, the state, and many community-based organizations to develop in-school and out-of-school youth programs to provide employability skills, really focusing on the vulnerable population, and many of those students are Latino students. So through our programs, we offer 4 components. So we focus on increasing those employability skills, the job seeking and the job keeping. How do I look for a job, but how do I keep a job? Because we often see that our youth are able to secure a job, but once they get to the reality of that job, they don't have those employability skills. So we really focus on teaching those through each of our programs. We focus on providing the clinical and non-clinical work experience, really bringing them to the healthcare network and having them explore what it's like to work as a nurse, what it's like to work as a patient care assistant, and also what it's like to work in those areas that are not patient care related. A hospital is a community, and in order for that community to run, we need people from many different levels of expertise. As part of that component, we also focus on career ladders. How does an individual, specifically the minority youth that we're serving, can come in and understand, if I'm a PCA, how can I become a nurse? And our network is very strongly committed to continue the growth of our staff. And Heidi is an example of that, who came as a participant to our programs years ago. And today she is a clinical nurse serving at the Allentown Hospital. We also incorporate a case management approach. We try to serve the individuals and understand what are the issues impacting them individually. Do they need bus passes? Do they need a uniform? Do they know how to communicate with their supervisor? So that's another very strong component of our program. And lastly, our career mentoring, the job coaching, the one-on-one mentoring, getting to know individually, and how do we help them continue to grow. Again, in order to break that cycle of poverty, we get people in entry roles because of their age, but how do we help them continue growing that ladder to become professionals? So our mentoring programs overall and our workforce initiatives is really focusing on breaking the cycle of poverty. So the first is, how do we get them get a high school diploma, get those employability skills, and introduce them to that. Then so our programs for the youth, in partnership with the Workforce Board, provide the observational experiences and also the work experience. And these programs have been in existence for over 20 years with a great support from the Workforce Board, which thank you to the Biden administration and many administrations that continue to support the TANF and WIOA funding. And our latest model, because many times our youth graduate, but they're not ready to continue post-secondary education. And many times they are the dislocated workers. They're in and out of the job market because they were not prepared academically, or they don't know where to go from that point. So our latest model that we developed is called the Cultural and Linguistic Workforce Development Center. And this model is focusing on the out-of-school youth, those that have a high school diploma. So in partnership with the Carmen Community College, Northampton Community College, the Literacy Center, and the Hispanic Center Lehigh Valley, we developed a model that is providing ESL, GED, and skills-based training for adults. Our focus for the first year was to engage 200 people. In 9 months, the program engaged almost 300 individuals. It was a very well-accepted program by the community, but now we're looking at a different population. So all of our strategies in workforce development, as it looks, have really focused on, 1, identifying the needs of our community, 2, utilizing best practices, serving the community at their level, bringing bilingual staff members, helping them develop those career ladders, the experience-based knowledge for over 20 years of doing youth mentorship and now implementing our latest model, and community partnerships. As I mentioned when I started, workforce is a collective effort from the entire community working together.
And just as I hear from the manufacturers that they need more workforce, I hear the same thing from the healthcare providers, from the hospital network. So thank you so much. And I just have to tell you, Dr. Carter, I'm proudest of in this area is how people all work together for the collective success. The hospital networks are competitors, but they work together. The community colleges are competitors, and yet they work together. And what you're hearing is exactly the kind of thing that demonstrates that. So I just wanted to mention that. Heidi Rosado. So introduce yourself, would you please?
Hi, my name is Heidi Rosado, and I'm an emergency room nurse at the St. Louis Allentown campus.
Great. And so we just heard from Victoria that you were part of the St. Luke's program. And can you tell us a little bit about how that worked, when you went in and what you were doing now?
So I came to the United States from Puerto Rico when I was just 9 years old. English is my second language, so it was a little bit of a rough start for me. By age 16, I had joined the Health Career Exploration Program. Victoria was one of my mentors. And I had gotten a job in the neonatal ICU and in the clinical lab, in which I learned just clinical skills, critical thinking skills, teamwork, and I learned about the endless job opportunities that St. Louis has to offer. It was eye-opening for me. By the age of 17, I had decided that I wanted to become a nurse, and I attended community college for the first 2 years. My family comes from very humble beginnings, so I qualified for a Pell Grant, and it made it easier to attend. After that, I was able to finish off my Bachelor's of Science in Nursing at Cedar Crest College in 2015. My journey hasn't really stopped there. It's slowed down a little bit due to being married and having kids, which I'm incredibly proud of. But I plan on continuing my education next year in the psychiatric nurse practitioner program at DeSales University.
You're a clinical nurse, and I understand you work in emergency rooms? Yes. Okay. So recently we passed in Congress the Stronger Workforce for America Act, and it would help expand and improve WIOA, which I understand is how this program came about. I think it's still waiting for a vote in the Senate. But what would you say to lawmakers who are questioning the importance of supporting that kind of program?
Sure. I would say continue to invest in your youth, since they are the future of America. We go on to becoming first responders, nurses, doctors, teachers, just essential workers to the United States.
That's great. And you did touch on your experience with the Pell Grant and getting into community college and your family's humble beginnings. But can you talk a little bit about how going to community college set you up for success when you later pursued a 4-year degree at Cedar Crest?
Sure. I think obviously financially it was a big responsibility to tackle. How am I going to afford going to school? So going to a community college definitely made it possible for me to then look into a nursing program. And because I qualified for the Pell Grant, it allowed me to save up enough money to then attend a nursing program.
Wonderful. Well, we all know we need more nurses.
Yes.
So I am thrilled that that's the field that you decided to go into, and thank you so much. Sure, please do.
Did you say that Spanish was your first language?
Yes.
It was mine too, actually. And my sister, she passed in kindergarten because Spanish, she didn't know any English. So it's kind of interesting, like growing up in a Latino household early on. Sometimes it's like, oh, you don't speak any more Spanish. But it's great to see that this program, that you were part of this program, and then of course now you're like a successful nurse, and you probably know English and Spanish.
Yeah.
Which there's a huge shortage, of course, as we know, in the workforce, the healthcare workforce. As somebody who sits on the healthcare subcommittee in Congress, like we hear about this all day long. So we need more and more of this to make sure that we're filling that need in the workforce. So thank you for your
I
work.
can imagine being a patient in an emergency room or a hospital and not speak, and having my care providers not speak the language. So that's really good. Yes.
Yeah, they're independent. Yeah.
Their families couldn't go to the street, and the only people that they saw was the nurse. And if they were not able to communicate, imagine the pressure and the pain and agony among not being able to be understood.
Exactly. I'm going to turn to Mayor Turk. Mayor Turk, we know there are a variety of factors that play into whether or not someone is able to enter the workforce, and whether they have access to care for their children or other dependents, transportation issues. They have training and skills, as was talked about. Can you talk to us a little bit about how the City of Allentown
is addressing the workforce development issues and how we, the federal government, can continue to support you.
Thank you, Congresswoman Wildman. Welcome, Dr. Biden. I'm Matt Turk. I'm the mayor of the city of Allentown. And I want to officially welcome you all to the beating heart of the Lehigh Valley and to one of Pennsylvania's most dynamic communities. So, bienvenidos, as we say in Spanish, and marhaban, as we also say in Arabic here in Allentown. And I want to just take a second and recognize that I'm on this incredible panel of amazing women. And that we have amazing women leading us in the Lehigh Valley, from Nancy Dishna to Dr. Burks to the women at the table. I'm totally honored.
Is here from
She's
City
the
Council.
president of City Council.
I did think of that you were the only male at the table.
I feel honored to be here. So as you mentioned, Allentown is a city of over 125,000 people in this growing metropolitan area of nearly 700,000 residents. And the economy, as you know, Dr. Biden, is robust. It's driven, as you mentioned, by healthcare and manufacturing, and the latter, manufacturing, comprises over 16% of our economy. There's over 355,000 people employed in this bi-county region, but many Allentown residents struggle to access all of those jobs across the region. In certain areas of our city, 90% of residents travel outside of the city for work, yet only 1 of 3 households have access to a personal vehicle. More than 25% of residents of the city of Allentown, aged 25 to 54, haven't completed their high school diplomas yet. And a lack of affordable child care, as we mentioned, prevents many from seeking employment. And consequently, Allentown's prime age employment gap, so the number of people between age 25 to 54, is over 6%, which is much higher than the national average. So while the economy is strong and is growing, it's constrained by labor supply. Our largest sectors, we've talked about a couple times here, healthcare and manufacturing, have thousands of unfilled jobs. And the Lehigh Valley Economic Development Corporation and the Workforce Board of the Lehigh Valley have developed career dashboards to help and build industry partnerships to help address these needs. But there's ongoing work to be done. There's a tremendous need for skilled workers. In addition, our economic development efforts have identified another growth limiter, which is that there's a lack of available jobs within short distance of population centers like Allentown, Center City, Allentown, and Bethlehem. So investment in small footprint industrial buildings will create opportunities in those cities, and investments in improving the transportation network will also help us get residents to jobs. But most importantly, I think one of the things that we're discussing here is how Allentown's residents struggle with access to affordable child care. We know that investing in child care is an investment in economic growth. Child care businesses offer a low barrier entrepreneurial. We talked about the entrepreneurial spirit that Congresswoman Velazquez mentioned. Those home-based businesses offer entrepreneurial opportunities, and they support, more importantly perhaps, workforce development opportunities in education and in healthcare. A career in child care can lead to tremendous opportunities in healthcare. Moreover, quality child care enables parents to pursue their careers and contribute to the economy. When Tom Perez was visiting here a few weeks ago, he visited a community services for children site at one of our housing developments and met with parents who were able to participate in the workforce because of the availability of child care. So when Allentown was asked, Dr. Burks in fact asked me to join an early childhood education coalition led by the Allentown School District, I eagerly accepted. When we were given the opportunity to invest our home funds into that little Lehigh housing project, I did so because I knew that it would include a child care center that would create on-site opportunities for parents. Our ARPA funds also went into things like public safety buildings, additional housing, which we know is economic development, infrastructure investment, but also into Da Vinci Science Center, which is a new world-class science museum here that will also be a home for a theme-based classroom for the Allentown School District, ensuring that students in Allentown have access to science, technology, reading, education, art, and history. So all of those efforts converge in an application to the Economic Development Administration's Recompete Pilot Program. which, as you know, is an effort to make sure that residents across the country have access to good jobs and that we lower barriers to employment. So Allentown was honored to have our pre-compete plan approved in December in round one, thanks in large part to support from Congressman Wild and Senator Casey and Senator Clinton. You guys are fantastic. We received $500,000 of support for strategic development, but we also were invited to apply for round two. And we submitted our request in April, requesting $20 million to support targeted investments in local employment through career navigation that we'll do in collaboration with our friends at the Workforce Board of Lehigh Valley and the Lehigh Valley Economic Development Corporation, as well as many different community-based organizations like Promise Neighborhoods. We'll also invest in pre-apprenticeship programs in collaboration with the Lehigh Valley Labor Council and IBEW 375. I don't know if they're in the room, but definitely shout out to the labor. He's been a huge help.
They were always in the back, man.
The labor has been at the table for all of that effort, as they should be. So we'll also invest in inclusive community development through reentry programs and reentry workforce development and preparedness with partners like Promise Neighborhoods in the Lehigh Valley. Additionally, and importantly, flexible and conveniently located childcare in collaboration with our partners at Lehigh Valley Community Foundation and Community Services for Children, as well as many others. You mentioned the effort to reduce the cost of childcare through improving childcare wages. So this is something that's on our radar as well. We'll be asking for. We're also working with expanded transportation options, which promote pedestrian safety and alternative transportation methods to make sure that people can get safely to work. Industrial site development. I talked about those small footprint opportunities. There's opportunities here in the Lehigh Valley. We've already seen assistance from our Commonwealth through a PA Sites grant, but we'll do additional work with the Allentown Economic Development Corporation. And then, as we've discussed here, expanding on the integrated health career network training. It's about working together. We probably have a recompete strategic group here that we do. Pretty much everybody in the room is part of that recompete effort. And that's the teamwork that Congressman Wild just mentioned to you. Together, these initiatives will help connect Allentonians to the regional opportunities that are available and unlock this whole region, the Lehigh Valley's potential. So if you consider the impact of these investments to create a model for America's cities facing similar challenges, you'll be able to see what's next. So we're asking you to support this initiative and see what's next.
Great. I just wanted to jump in and say a few words about the range of issues you've raised and a few other issues that have been raised here as well, because I do think, as you talk about a comprehensive approach, it also does describe the Biden administration's approach to all of these issues. Just calling out a few issues. First, on child care, crucial issue to workers. The First Lady talked about our $16 billion investment, but I also just want to note for our future budget, the 2025 budget, the President has proposed a landmark child care plan that is really focused on child care affordability for families. So no middle-class family would pay more than $10 a day. That is a huge relief, as the President talks a lot about. A lot of families are experiencing, need more breathing room. And those child care costs are a real challenge, but also, as you laid out, Mayor, it is a critical component of a workforce strategy to have child care. So that is one component.
I will provide some information.
Sure.
And remind everyone here that the greatest resignation during the pandemic
Yes.
were women.
Yes.
Because all the daycare centers that shut down across the country. So it is an important role that it plays in our economy when women have to abandon their jobs, have to resign. So
Absolutely.
I'm so happy that the president is
I agree,
investing
and
so much.
she was introduced before, but for those who missed it, Ms. Tandon is the Assistant to the President for Domestic Policy, so we're thrilled to hear what you're saying.
Thank you.
And I think childcare is the next big issue
Yes.
to be tackled. I mean, we've heard a lot about prescription drugs, we've made a lot of progress on prescription drugs. I believe childcare is a game changer.
I wish we had hours here because there's so much we could say, but Dr. Biden, I hope that you have seen in this and the examples of why I'm so incredibly proud of this area and the work that's being done. It's just really people pulling together for the betterment of our community and our people. And thank you so much for being with us. Thank you, Representative Aaron and Representative Velasquez. And thank you all.